Hello, and welcome to our USA and Mexico info session for Global Intergenerational Week 2025. I'm Sherry Steinig with Generations United, and I'm joined by our US co-lead Chelsea Mason of the Eisner Foundation. We're excited to have you all joining us today.
Hola y bienvenidas a nuestra sesión informativa para Estados Unidos y México sobre la Semana Intergeneracional Internacional 2025. Soy Bernadette González, directora general de Corimas México, y me acompaña Constanza Araujo, directora de Programas Intergeneracionales. Estamos muy emocionadas de tenerles hoy aquí. La presentación será en inglés, pero cada diapositiva cuenta con la traducción en español. Al final de la sesión habrá un espacio para preguntas donde podrán hacerlas en español y con gusto podremos responderles. Gracias por acompañarnos.
People join us will play an overview video that was created by Generations Working Together, who leads this effort from Scotland.
Welcome to Global Intergenerational Week, an annual campaign that celebrates the value and power of intergenerational relationships.
The campaign takes place April 24th to 30th and features a variety of engaging and inspiring in-person and online events throughout the week. Each day focuses on a key intergenerational theme.
On day 1, let's raise intergenerational awareness. On day 2, let's challenge ageism. On day 3, let's challenge social isolation and loneliness. On day 4, let's celebrate intergenerational spaces and communities.
On day 5, let's save the planet together. On day 6, let's develop intergenerational workplaces. And on day 7, let's improve intergenerational quality and sustainability.
La práctica intergeneracional brinda una gran cantidad de beneficios. Reduce el aislamiento social y la soledad en todas las generaciones, estableciendo relaciones vitales para grupos vulnerables en todo el mundo.
Los enfoques intergeneracionales pueden mejorar el rendimiento y los logros educativos en los jóvenes a través de programas de mentoría y el intercambio de habilidades. Las relaciones entre generaciones, jóvenes y mayores, también fortalecen la confianza, mejoran las habilidades de comunicación y fomentan un renovado sentido de responsabilidad social.
Intergenerational practice also breaks down age barriers, challenges age-related stereotypes, and improves our understanding of the challenges different generations encounter.
And this all leads to the creation of sustainable, cohesive, and age-connected communities where ageism doesn't exist and different generations can flourish together.
ולכן השנה אנחנו רוצים לשנות את התפיסה. נהפוך את הקשר הבין-דורי מפעילות שנחמדת יותר לפעילות נחוצה והכרחית.
Our goal is to raise awareness for intergenerational practice across the globe so that more and more people can witness for themselves all those magical moments that intergenerational relationships create.
There are loads of ways for you to get involved in the campaign. You can partake in our postcard activity, share a snapshot of your intergenerational moment, whether it's meaningful conversation, a shared activity, or a special connection. Reflect on your feelings and include photos to highlight your experience.
You can host an intergenerational event, which can be anything from an intergenerational cooking class, to a sports day, to a simple tea and cake morning.
También puedes unirte a nosotros online utilizando nuestro hashtag de campaña GIW25 y utilizar nuestras plantillas prediseñadas para redes sociales disponible dentro de los recursos del pack de patrocinadores. Together we can build stronger relationships between generations and work towards building and sustaining a more inclusive and intergenerational future for people of all ages.
All right. So, as you all just saw, this effort began 4 years ago at Generations Working Together in Scotland. And Generations Working Together is an intergenerational training and advocacy organization with strong connections to intergenerational leaders across the UK. And in the years they've been helming Global Intergenerational Week, they've expanded their reach to 14 countries, including Australia, Singapore, Mexico, Israel, Uruguay, Greece, and many others to make Global Intergenerational Week a truly international celebration. The goal of the week is to raise awareness of how important intergenerational connection is, to advocate for policies that support those efforts, and to foster connections among practitioners across the world. Sherry?
Sorry, next slide. So last year, hundreds of supporters amplified the importance of intergenerational connection, held events around the world. In the United States, we had 208 registered supporters, and most of whom represent nonprofits doing or interested in intergenerational work, and 15 registered events.
In Mexico, we had around 150 supporters from various educational institutions, such as Universidad Iberoamericana, as well as organizations dedicated to elders, included Alive Inside organization, Fundación Brigas Hackenbeck, Fundación de Ayuda para la Ancianidad, and we held a total of 6 events.
Next slide, please. So for those of you who participated in the past, these efforts are going to look similar, but scaled up with your help. So here are some ways you can get involved. Before we start getting into these, I will mention that all of these details will also be in the supporters pack that Generations Working Together has assembled, and we'll send that to you after this session. But we'll take a little time to talk about each of these a bit more in depth. First, the easiest way to get involved is to post on social media with the hashtag GIW25. There are also themes for each day that you can use for inspiration, or you can post about intergenerational events or other initiatives you have during the week. You can also host an event, either in person or virtual, and register it as an official Global Intergenerational Week event. This can be an event you already have planned, or you can do something special for this week. Registering your event helps us keep track of how widely the week is being celebrated and helps us show the breadth of intergenerational activities happening across the world. Global Intergenerational Week is also an opportunity to reach out to public officials to increase their awareness of intergenerational programs generally and your work specifically. If you've been looking for a chance to engage local, state, or even national elected leaders, this is a perfect time. And finally, consider collaborating. Whether you host a joint event or coordinate on a social media campaign, Global Intergenerational Week is a chance to create new connections and grow your reach. Next, we'll go into each of these in more detail.
Each year, Global Intergenerational Week has daily themes you can use on social media if you choose. All these graphics will be available to download in the social media toolkit we'll send all supporters. On day 1, it's Let's Raise Intergenerational Awareness. Day 2, Let's Challenge ageism. Day 3, Let's Challenge social isolation and loneliness. Day 4, let's create intergenerational spaces and communities. Day 5, let's save the planet together. Day 6, let's develop intergenerational workplaces. Day 7, let's improve intergenerational quality and sustainability. And next slide, please. Y en español sería el día 1, hagamos conciencia intergeneracional. El día 2, desafiemos los prejuicios por la edad. Día 3, enfrentemos el aislamiento social y la soledad. Día 4, construyamos espacios y comunidades intergeneracionales. Día 5, salvemos el planeta juntos. Día 6, desarrollemos lugares de trabajo intergeneracionales. Y día 7, mejoremos la calidad y sostenibilidad intergeneracional. Next slide, please.
So here are some samples of events that happened in 2024. We really encourage you to consider hosting an event. Again, this could be as simple as taking an event that you already have planned and giving it a global boost by registering it with us. Almost anything can count. So in 2024, we had some organizations that really use social media to highlight their projects, their work, and intergenerational connections in general. Others hosted special themed events, or just celebrated what they did every day. The St. Anne Center for Intergenerational Care, they did sort of highlighted the regular activities that they did in a blog post that they put on their website that kind of pulled everything together, as well as some of the other examples just shown here are what some groups in the United States did. New York did a little group of a number of organizations kind of collaborated together to show the message across the week. Next slide. Thank you.
Last year in Mexico, some of the events we held included a gathering at Universidad Iberoamericana on the power of music to connect generations, RAD, World Works Against Dementia, a concert designed to raise awareness about the impact of music on people with dementia that brought together children, elders, and caregivers, a meeting with psychology students, with their grandparents to share experiences and traditions, and a final celebration with stories, games, and music between generations, among others.
Go back one, please. There we go.
Yes. In some places, country leads are using building light-ups as an opportunity to reach out to their elected officials and build awareness of intergenerational work. If you live in an area where you are able to coordinate a light-up with local leaders, the official color is magenta.
All right, so if you are ready to get started, please make sure you're registered as a supporter to stay up to date on everything going on across the world. And you'll also get the supporters pack and the social media toolkit emailed to you in the weeks to come. If you have an event you'd like to register, also please use the link you see here. We'll also drop these in the chat. So finally, we wanted to make this short and sweet. We are happy to answer any questions that you have. Please put any questions you have in the chat in Spanish or English, and we'll be happy to answer them. And you'll also see that Sherry has dropped the links that were on the previous slide to register as a supporter or to register your intergenerational event in the chat.
I'd be interested if anyone had activities already planned for Global Intergeneration Week, if they wanted to share those. Oh, there is a question too. Do the events need to be virtual so an international audience can partake? No. Again, we're really encouraging folks to do local events to actually build those relationships right in your community. It's really for like, you know, to as local as we can get. There will be some international virtual events that'll be open to folks across the world to participate in, and those will also be listed on the event. But we definitely, I think, at the most local level is where we'd love to see intergenerational connections already, you know, happening.
Bueno, Consuelo pregunta, el primer link es solo para organizaciones mexicanas. Yo represento una organización chilena y estoy muy interesada en participar.
Chile va a tener una participación durante la Semana Intergeneracional. Si quieres, puedes dejarnos tu correo y te ponemos en contacto con Chile. De hecho, vamos a tener un conversatorio entre España, Chile, Uruguay y México que se va a llevar de manera eh, por Zoom.
Great question that we can sort of go through. Through any everyone can answer that. Is there any? Well, let me go back. It's just concrete suggestions for enlisting and acquiring support from local government and businesses.
Rebecca, I would say that it strongly depends on where you are, how big your community is. But it would be fantastic to get creative here. As far as businesses go, I think it really depends on what kind of event you want to do. Perhaps there's some kind of in-kind donation that businesses could make for some kind of public event that's local. And then again, depending on how big your local area is, if you have if you're in a relatively small community, your local government is more accessible than you might think. I would certainly start at reaching out to the offices of maybe your local city council person, see if they have somebody on their staff, if your city council is big enough to have staff under them. Reach out to whoever is in charge of community outreach or their community liaison, and just start talking to them about any existing plans for the week that you might be able to capitalize on and partner with in the community. But I think it's really about getting creative here.
And I know, Bernadette, when we were meeting earlier, we were talking about the building light ups, and that there were some interest. And I know that you had mentioned that locally you had already might have some interest with some of the buildings. And that can be again, like, is it municipal buildings that might already do that type of lighting up for other types of recognition? Whether it's, your own building, whether it's college campuses or university campuses. I don't know if you wanted to share what your plans were. That's another way to get sort of local governments involved if it's something that there's an opportunity to do that already.
Yes, sure. In Mexico, somehow intergenerational projects and experiences are relatively new, but we have been working with volunteers, and some of them have contact with the government, and we all work at university. So we are creating this consciousness to work with intergenerational experiences, and we will try to light up some buildings this year. We'll let you know how it goes.
There's a question around the ones that do you need to apply through a nonprofit? I think no. I mean, this is anyone who's doing sort of intergenerational connections or work can register their events and be supporters, and there's sort of no prerequisites around there. There are governments that are involved, nonprofits, for-profits, the whole gamut. Mentioned collaborating being a good way to celebrate. So I guess it really, I think it, again, similar to what Chelsea was saying, I think for collaborators, it may be, are there other groups that are doing intergenerational volunteering in your community that you know of? Are there other groups that are supporting? It's more of a finding ways to connect, to sort of amplify All the work that the community is doing, the example was sort of that I had talked about earlier was a social media campaign that some of the groups in New York City were doing. There's a number of groups there that are doing intergenerational work. They decided to work together to sort of amplify all the work that was happening in the city. Now, this is New York City, and it's the largest city in the United States. So there's a lot more going on there than are probably happening in a lot of other communities. But if there are other groups, foster grandparent programs or other types of programs that might be in the community that you could think about collaborating with. There's a question about like sort of finding other supporters. Generations United does have a directory of intergenerational programs. It's almost entirely the US. There may be a couple of international programs in there, but it is divided by state. So you could search there to see if anyone's entered a program from your state or area that might be a potential collaborator. You can also reach out to us and we can help try to make a connection if we know of other groups that are in your state or region to work with. Where I think one of our goals is really just to raise awareness about intergenerational connections. So it's sort of that idea is that collaboratively we can, our voices are all stronger together.
I might also add that if you are at the beginning of your journey into intergenerational programming, say you are a primarily youth-serving organization, perhaps this is a great opportunity to look for a local senior center or a local organization in your area that primarily serves older adults and maybe look at a way to partner during this week or vice versa. Again, it's about getting creative, finding synergy and new connections in your area.
And if we had missed a question and you want to just pop it back in chat again, sorry, I think I was trying to scroll through these. As we mentioned, there are some activities in the supporters pack around, doing some postcards or doing some other sort of simple things that folks can do to be engaged. So it's not necessarily thinking of your own event or activity. There are some built-in activities and tools that you can think about incorporating into your work and sort of being part. It's really, we know that there's a wide range of intergenerational connections and programs that are out there. So we want to make sure that we're celebrating and recognizing all of the possible ways that the generations can connect.
And I can go ahead and address Scott's question in the chat. If there is funding available for this. We support intergenerational programming in Los Angeles County and New York City. Our grant making timeline, probably you wouldn't be able to get through the process quickly enough for this event, but we always encourage you to go to eisnerfoundation.org to learn more about what we support and how to apply for funding. There isn't an explicit pot of money from anybody doing Global Intergenerational Week across the world, as far as I know. This is really intended to be a grassroots effort that encourages people to capitalize on what's already available at your organization or in your community.
And we'll just share that the activities that will be that the US and Mexico will be hosting, we share all those with Generations Working Together, who maintains the Global Intergenerational Week website. So those events, as well as ones from Singapore, Australia, or Scotland, England, around, Spain, around the world will all be there. And we really encourage you to learn about what's happening in other parts of the world as well. Signing up for those events, most of them are also recorded. So if it's in the time zones are always challenging to find that, but there'll be a lot of really interesting and exciting activities happening during the week that that we would encourage everyone here to also participate in. Yeah, Alan, that's a great comment that yes, sometimes it's sort of thinking this is our now our fourth year. It's just we're building every year. It's always April 24th to the 30th. So if we can't get things up and running or ready for this year, definitely, planning for next year as well. And there are ways just to even just again, like if there's just even like messages, helping to share with your networks that it's happening. It's all of that, every little bit helps to build the momentum and to celebrate the campaign. So it doesn't have to be an activity or an event. It really is just sort of thinking about if you do a newsletter, maybe just including something about that Global Intergenerational Week is happening is also these are all of those are great ways to help and be part of it. And I'm sure Bernadette and Constanza will also say that, if you can reach out to Chelsea and I, to us, and we can try to help, again, make connections, both in the US and in Mexico, if you're interested in, or, again, also like these multinational types of opportunities are also really exciting. So we really appreciate everyone's interest and as much as possible for us to try to make connections or build contacts, we would love to do that. Going to give a couple minutes or at least a couple seconds if there's any other questions or comments.
Maybe as we wait for any final questions, Bernadette or Constanza, if there's anything that you'd like to say before we close?
Well, thank you for being present and feel free to write to us, and we'll be very happy to share information and updates on our upcoming events. And it's great to share with you, United States, this event, and we hope to see you really real soon and work together.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Great with, I don't know, do we have someone who had closing remarks? Did you have closing remarks, Chelsea? I can't.
I do not. I am thrilled to everybody's interested as they have been for the past several years. It's great to collaborate with our friends in Mexico for a joint launch this year. So thank you very much to Bernadette and Constanza for working with us on this. And thank you to everyone who joined us today. We look forward to learning more about what you plan to do for Global Intergenerational Week. Thanks so much. Thank you, everyone.